release time from the district to attend a course of instruction in religion, whatever that religion might be. There's certain standards that must be met before the child can go off and attend whatever sort of church program, like recognized church program that he's going to be enrolling in. The way that we've written the policy, the board has the option of allowing the student to do that or not. You would determine, as your policy, we're going to allow students to have release time for religious instruction or we're not. So that would be a decision that the board would make, and we would adjust board policy accordingly. We've just written board policy so that we can make that decision, and we've addressed it.
Does the board determine the standards? The standards, that's important, because they can utilize
Right.
Any religion.
Right. That's not the case. It's either the board would recognize the standards as listed are provided in statute, and we've incorporated there in the board policy. And it's the board's determination as to whether they want to allow students, no matter what the religion would be, to go off and study this course of instruction. So it would be sort of a blanket decision, yes, these students in the school district's going to do this, or no, it's not.
What do you mean go off and, I thought you attend religious services.
That's right.
So you're now saying it's a religious study course and not just, I don't know what religion, say for instance, I don't know what religion I could refer to, but you're saying they can go for religious training someplace, or you're saying for their Wednesday at 2 o'clock service?
It would be a course in religious instruction. So like in the Catholic faith, for example, they have CCP, which is sort of like a school to study the Bible or certain facets of Catholicism. They would actually be released from school during a certain period of time to go and take that as it would be a course, such as if you were to take an advanced English course or something like that. So that's how the statute is intended to operate.
And is this a course that would be recognized as part of their study points?
Yes, it would serve up to 2 units of credit towards graduation.
Okay.
And this is, yeah.
That's a good question. Now, would we be responsible for paying for them to go to that?
No, you would not.
This includes services when they attend religious services. I think that's covered already. Religious services are already covered, isn't it? For students to attend services like.
Right, this is a separate concept. This is release time for courses in religious instruction.
Courses, okay.
That's correct. Let's move on to extracurricular activities. I'm sure you're familiar with the concept of chartered and non-chartered, non-public school students enrolling in the district's extracurricular activities programs. That was a big issue with the biannual budget bill that came out in 2013. Well, under Substitute House Bill 487, they've incorporated community school students and STEM school students under the same framework as non-public school students. So that means if that student is otherwise entitled to attend school in the district, let's say that they would otherwise be a resident here, but instead they're attending a community school or a STEM school, they would then be, they must be afforded the opportunity to participate in the district's extracurricular activities by the superintendent.
What number is that policy?
That would be policy 7.17.
And everything you're telling us about now, these are changes that are in effect that were not in effect last year. These
Right.
are changes that are in that these House bills have made.
That's right. They will take
Necessary.
effect beginning of or just prior to the next school year.
If the next school year will be September or?
That's right, 2014-2015 school year. I believe most of these changes take effect in September 11th, some of them before then, but it would make sense for the board to be prepared and have policy according to that school year. House Bill 487, once again, it's made some changes about the selection of textbooks and supplementary materials. It now requires the district to provide an opportunity to parents to review the selection of textbooks that they make. The district might already do something along those lines. We've just overtly now stated in our board policy that the district's going to provide that opportunity to parents if they so choose.
That number is.
That would be policy 7.23. There were some minor changes also brought about by House Bill 487. Some that come to mind are the emergency management plan. This used to be called a school safety plan. It's just a change in terminology that they're going to be using in the Ohio Revised Code. So what we're doing is trying to stay consistent and use that same language. Another example of that, that would be policy 9.26. There are various other examples of that, but another one that you would want to be aware of is policy 7.10, Career Technical Education Program.
What was it?
Policy 7.10, Career Technical Education Program. That term has been rephrased as Vocational Education Program. We've kept the title of that board policy just because people are used to seeing it as that. But the language that we're using will once again follow the statute, and they've just changed career technical to vocational. I'm sorry, the other way around.
What is it?
It was vocational, they're saying career technical now. I'm sorry, I apologize for that.
Okay.
Those are the bigger changes that I think you should all be aware of. I've incorporated those, like I said, into that red binder right there. We've supplied Ms. Corley with the strikeout and bold version of the policies, so you can see the actual changes that were made, changes in the language, to familiarize yourself with that.
So none of the board has seen any of those?
I'm sorry?
Say that
None of
again.
the board has seen any of those?
Right, we're giving that to the board so that you can review the changes.
These are going out exactly the same time all of our other clients.
Right. Our other clients actually at this point don't even have these yet. We're going to be releasing these to the clients within the next week or so. But since we had this opportunity to meet with all of you, we thought we would give you them in advance.
So we will have this one until you release the new ones.
These are the new ones. We've incorporated it into your board policy so that you're the first to get them from our firm.
If we can collect your old books, we can update them.
Right.
You know, we didn't want to bring all new books
Right.
because you've got the books. So if you want them updated, we'd be happy to do that. If you don't want them updated, that's up to you.
Or can't we just do the updates?
I can't hear you, Doctor.
I said, can't we just do the updates and keep the old books because I've written them?
You mean that?
And just, can you give us the updates?
What we wanted to do, the reason we labeled one in red is we wanted to provide one consistent board policy book that we all know is the primary board policy and is up to date, rather than making sure that we have 5 that are all up to date and might have personal notes in them. We want one policy book to be above all the other policy books that we can refer to when the time
There's
calls for it.
questions or concerns. Yeah.
So while we could do that, we still want to make sure that the one that the president has here is the primary policy book.
Until we issue all of them.
Right, until we issue based on the one that is adopted. So that's our strategy. It's just very difficult when you're working with, 4 or 5 policy books here to make sure everyone's up to date and you're not missing one page and she has a different page. And considering the just amount of updates that we provide so frequently, because as we all know, Ohio law changes so consistently, it's difficult to keep these as up to date as possible, which is why we're putting our focus on that one.
Policy 7.7.
Go ahead.
In policy 7.23, parents review textbooks. Parents reviewing textbooks. Does this policy give the parents power to not utilize those textbooks or make changes?
No.
What power is it for them to review the textbooks? Do they have any power?
That's correct. No, it would be something along the lines of you would consult with parents, so you would give them an opportunity to express whatever displeasure they might have about whatever resource the district's using to educate their students. But no, the district does not have to oblige any parent's
see.
request to not use a certain textbook.
My question, because I seen in the newsletter that we received in the mail, is it possible we can get these board policy manuals on CD or anything? Would it be cheaper that way or easier to
That's-
add and take out?
It's certainly something we could.
Yeah, that's definitely a possibility. It would be very difficult to issue updates. You know, you'd constantly be having to shred your CDs, which is fine. I mean, that's one way to do it. It wouldn't be, it certainly wouldn't be expensive to reburn discs. But there again, we would want to make sure that the old ones get destroyed, because otherwise somebody could be confused by an old version versus an updated version, and there would be no way for us to automatically send those updates. One of the things we do is we do offer an online service that is automatically updated. So it would be like having a CD. You can go to a link, basically, that would always be updated. Whenever the updates are adopted by the board, as soon as we get notice that you've adopted an update, it goes on to the link. And so it's like having the CD, but you know it's always up to date.
Right. It's convenient for the public, and it makes sure that we're all consistent. So it's not a series of CDs, and once again, you know, she deleted one board policy that didn't get the update in, and that person has two of the same board policy kind of thing. It's a great way to keep it all consistent.
Many school districts do that.
We provide that service.
Yeah, I was reading somewhere that one district said that they decreased the amount of their levy that they planned by a full mill by going to online board documents. I didn't look into details, but I thought that sounded interesting.
I wonder what a mill raises, because I can't imagine that the cost of the paper is that high.
Yeah, it came in one of either the OSBA or the National School Board Association mailings that we got, and I don't recall which one, but I thought it was very interesting. It was in Ohio, it was probably OSBA, but it was an Ohio district that said they lowered their levy by a mill. Because
Maybe it
they
was
were-
I didn't hear what you were saying in the very beginning.
I read somewhere in one of the OSBA, National School Board Association mailings that we have, and it could have been an email, but that a district lowered their levy by a full mill by switching to online board documents.
Online board document.
Yeah, somewhat like North Carolina and Western.
Yes.
Real quick, Ms. Corley, do you, I don't know if it's okay to ask you right now, but do you think the online thing, way would be better for you as well than the Facebook?
The only concern I would have is the one that's been raised relative to the updates, because right now with all of the new, there's like literally new House bills, you know, legislation that's being passed like really rapidly, now more so than I've ever seen. And so just, you know, just trying to keep up with all of that would have to be managed. Because, you know, even since you've been on the board, there's been, you know, board recommendations for board policies, and you have to bring to the board because it's a new law, it's a new mandate. This change that the attorneys are presenting today about the teacher evaluation system is new. We're negotiating, but because of this newly passed law, we're going to have to go back
You have to reopen.
and reopen that. You know what I mean? So I would just, we have to have a way to manage it.
Okay.
And if, like you're saying, if, you know, people, you have to shred CDs and just make sure
the
we
CD
have up to
idea,
date.
I think a few years ago, that's probably how it would have occurred, because I know that it wasn't unusual to get various legal treatises, get the updates for treatises as CDs, but as technology continued to evolve, it was just a lot easier to do it all online. And I think for the most part, those portals, they're portals basically. You click a link, you go to a server location that we maintain for various clients, and it goes right to your stuff and your menu chapters would pop up, and it's a clickable menu. Very easy to navigate.
Do you know any districts that use online? You know, that have been
Almost all of them.
What was that?
Almost all of them.
I was just asking for examples of districts who have their manuals online, and if they do, how do they manage the updates?
They get the automatic updates. The district like Joy, for instance, wouldn't have to do the updates. The updates just appear. The link would be exactly the same that would be clicked. On your website, you have a spot where you click Board of Education. Somewhere in that home page then would be a clickable spot that says Board Policy. And you click there, and then that goes through the portal to the server that we maintain.
So you all maintain the server?
We handle the updates.
We would turn each board policy into a PDF document, and then it would link to a PDF document so that the members of the community couldn't alter the document at all.
Right.
So they couldn't try to, change a policy on you and try to show it to you. We just treat it as a PDF and it's unalterable.
Sounds good.
When you say almost all districts are your clients or almost all districts across the board?
There's 3 different sources of board policy that I know of. Us, OSBA, and Neola. And OSBA and Neola support the exact same platform. If your district is under Neola, you click on board policy, it goes to Neola's portal, and the sites are there.
That's not my question. My question is not do they have it, because I've used theirs, I've read other districts' policies online. My question is, you had said that almost all districts, if I understand you correctly, are doing an online version. And my question was, are you referring to almost all the districts that are your clients, or do you have statistics on almost all the districts in the state of Ohio or in the county, or?
The best explanation I can give you for that statement is that we get new clients all the time, and almost every time we get a new client, one of the first sources that we go to answer a question. There's 3 sources: the teachers union contract, the OPSI union contract, and the board policy. And in almost every instance that I can think of, you can go to their website and get it. What used to happen was we would get a new client, and then we'd have to wait for this book to come in the mail, so that we could then refer to it to answer questions. Now, the shelf in our office dedicated to these books is obsolete, because it is really the standard practice.
So you're saying your clients, and you don't have statistics about other
No, I
districts in the
haven't
state?
collected those statistics.
Yeah, that was just my question. Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
Is it possible you could bring us an example next time you come in? Is there some way you can show us?
Like a computer, yeah, we could bring our computer.
If there's
Okay,
wireless,
just to show it.
we
Or
could
go
do
to the Cleveland Heights,
Do you have a computer?
you can go to the Cleveland Heights.
Yeah, we can do that. I know,
Look at theirs.
Yeah, but I would like to do collective.
I think I've used your overhead projector for presentations before. I think we could do that really easily. Look into that and project onto that whiteboard a variety of different districts. It would be pretty easy. Yeah, sure.
That would be good. Any other questions?
So that's the summary of what you want to say about what's in the red book.
Yes, what we've done is those changes since the last time you saw it. Attached in the back of that policy book are a lot of the financial policies that the district already has in place, policies and procedures, the ones that the treasurer gave to me and said that the district needs to follow these policies consistent with the program we've been doing for many years now. So those are going to be incorporated by reference. They're the same policies that you've been using. But we just wanted to make sure that we're consistent with that.
Yeah, the only other changes, Ms. Nowak sent over all of the auditor required policies. those have been incorporated if they weren't in there previously. There was just a few, the amenities, for instance. The amenities policy that you passed by auditor directive back in